All right, today we are pulling back the curtain on the world of ethical hacking. Have you ever wondered how the people who protect our entire digital lives get so good at what they do? Well, it turns out they train in this fascinating digital arena, and we're going to take you right inside. And that right there is the central question, isn't it? Hacking, by its very nature, involves breaking into computer systems. So, how on earth do you practice those skills without, well, breaking the law or causing some serious damage? It's a tricky paradox for sure, but the cybersecurity community came up with a pretty brilliant solution. And that solution is called Capture the Flag, or as everyone calls it, CTF. Now, forget the game you played as a kid. In the digital world, this is the official training ground. It's the digital dojo for cybersecurity experts and even just curious enthusiasts. So at its core, a CTF is basically a series of digital puzzles. The goal is always to find a hidden piece of text. That's the flag. And you get it by exploiting a weakness in a program that was built just for the competition. You can think of it like a flight simulator for a pilot, but for hackers. It's a completely safe, completely legal environment to test and sharpen some incredibly complex skills. And just so you know, this isn't some obscure underground thing. No way. It is a massive, thriving ecosystem. You've got platforms like Pico CTF, which are amazing for beginners, and then others that host these intense competitions for seasoned pros. You could literally start learning on one of these right now.
So how does this actually work, on a practical level? Well, to compete in a CTF, you really just need two things: a safe place to practice your attack, we'll call that the arena, and the specialized tools you need to actually carry out the attack, to craft the key, so to speak.
Most of these challenges, they boil down to this very fundamental setup. There's a server somewhere out there, and it's running a vulnerable program. Buried inside that program is the flag. Your job, sitting at your own computer, is to connect to that server, find the weakness, and get that flag out. And this is where that toolkit comes in. First, you have something called Netcat. It's a super simple but really powerful tool that lets you set up that server, your practice arena, right on your own machine. Then you've got Pwntools. This is like your exploit assistant. It's a specialized library for Python that just makes writing the actual attack code way faster and much more efficient. So, you see, one tool builds the arena, the other one helps you craft the attack. Okay, so we've got the theory down. Let's walk through a high-level example of what an exploit actually looks like. We're going to break down the anatomy of a typical challenge, step by step, just to make all these abstract ideas a lot more concrete. Now, before we get into the steps, this analogy is perfect. It explains a really common vulnerability called a buffer overflow. So just imagine a program has a small memory space, like a mailbox, that's meant to hold a certain amount of data. A hacker sends way too much data, overstuffing that mailbox until it breaks, and letters spill out into places they shouldn't. And that can give the attacker control.
So here's how that hunt for the flag breaks down. First, you use Netcat to get that vulnerable program up and running. Second, you start probing it. You send it data to find the exact breaking point, the precise number of characters that makes it crash. That's called finding the offset. Third, using Pwntools, you build your payload. That's the special code designed to take control of the program right at that crash point. And finally, you send the payload, hijack the program, and you capture that flag.
So, a single puzzle, that's one thing. But a real CTF competition? Oh, that's a gauntlet. It's a whole collection of challenges that test a huge range of skills. And you better believe each level gets progressively harder. A really great real-world example of this is something called the Tiny Core CTF. It's actually a self-contained virtual machine you can download and run. It's like a full competition in a box. It has 6 different levels, and each one is designed to test a completely different area of cybersecurity. And just look at the variety here. Level 1 is a C programming challenge about a password file. Okay, but by level 2, you're dealing with web-based vulnerabilities, stealing cookies. And by level 3, you're deep into low-level binary exploits, directly manipulating a program's memory. It really forces you to be a jack of all trades. So we've seen the what, and we've seen the how, but now let's talk about the why. Why are these competitions, which, let's face it, they look like games from the outside, why are they so critically important for the real world? And here's the crucial point. CTFs have become a core pillar of cybersecurity education. Right up there with traditional classroom learning and on-the-job training, these competitions provide that hands-on, practical experience that is just absolutely essential for developing the skills we need to defend our critical digital infrastructure. And this quote really gets to the heart of it all. You can't effectively defend a system if you don't understand how an attacker thinks, how they operate. CTFs are the perfect environment to learn that offensive mindset, to take things apart and see how they break, all so you can learn how to build them back stronger and way more securely. Which leaves us with a final pretty big thought. In a world that is more connected and more vulnerable than it has ever been, could it be that these games, these digital training grounds where the next generation of defenders are being forged, are actually one of our most important lines of defense? It's something to think about.